I wonder if we'll look back on this time as like the start of these live chats, and that this will just be the new way, you know, the new way of talking to radio stations and stuff. It's kind of cool, you know, because you can talk to all sorts of people and you don't necessarily have to be on tour.
It's so cool because I can talk to listeners too. Like I can go on live and somebody jump in, and it's a way for me to connect with people that I don't think I would have ever connected with.
Definitely.
I want to start by thanking you for a couple of reasons. When the pandemic first started, I got, you know, I was anxious and I felt a little bit of the depression and the darkness at first because, you know, you don't know what's happening to the world.
For sure.
And then I was listening to a playlist that I love, and an AWOLNATION song came on that I adore. And when I heard the opening line, I was like, this is how I want to feel. Can you guess what song it would be? What AWOLNATION song turned it around for me?
Oh, man.
It starts with the word dance.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. So probably Nights of Shame, maybe?
That is correct.
Okay, cool.
That is
what
correct.
I've thought about that song a few times, and I'm like, man, I wish I would have released that now, you know, because it would have been very appropriate. But, you know, I've been talking about this stuff since the first record, you know, different ways of thinking of navigating through different forms of evil and the light and trying to, you know, put your best foot forward. And sometimes it can be suffocating for sure. But yeah, it's funny you mentioned that song. You know, I actually made, like, a really talented friend of mine made a whole short film
on that
for that music video. And it was so heavy and so real to me that I decided to not release it because I was afraid of pushing something so sad, I think. But I look back on that now and I wonder if now would be a good time to fish that out of the vault and throw it out there.
So I was feeling a certain way and it came on and all I heard was dance, baby, dance like the world is ending. Dance, baby, dance. And it turned it all around because I realized that no matter what's happening, the world could very well be ending. Like we're living in the upside down, but I kind of want to dance my way through it. And ever since then, it's like I crossed over to a better perspective. So thank you. Thank you for that.
No problem.
I want to rewind really quick because I've been a fan since day one, and I
appreciate that so much.
You're welcome. I want to remind you how. So I'm a huge Nine Inch Nails fan, and I was following this guy on Twitter who was also a Nine Inch Nails fan, and he had tweeted, "If you guys are smart, you'll find this band AWOLNATION." So I went looking for you, and at the time you only had clips on YouTube. You only had little clips of Sail, and it was Kill Your Heroes. And there's something about your sound that drew me in day one. You speak your own language, you carve your own niche. When did you first start hearing your own rhythm?
I suppose that it was always there. But I guess a better way to answer that is to say that I didn't feel comfortable fully being myself and putting out my own rhythm, as you say, until, you know, the first AWOLNATION record. I was in all these other bands, and I think we probably met before in one of my other bands or crossed paths or something, because, you know, being local. And so it wasn't until those bands broke up that I was like, well, I have no choice but to kind of march to the beat of my own drum, so to speak. And so I guess it's always been there because it's just, you know, it's the music you love. It's what you inherently and instinctually gravitate towards. Just like if someone asks, like, you know, what kind of dancer are you? It's a hard thing to answer because I wouldn't know how the hell to answer that question. But it's just kind of what comes out of you naturally, and that's just you know, probably a result of all the music you love growing up and what spoke to you most. And, you know, some music, it takes a minute to like, you know, there's some records that take a couple listens or years down the line, you hear something that speaks to you differently or ages differently. But I think that we instinctually have our own rhythm, and everybody's heartbeat kind of, you know, thumps at a different volume as well in some ways.
You know, I was thinking about, I had read that this album was inspired by some of the more difficult things that you've ever experienced. And my first question now, this is what we're doing, is called a Fandemic, so I have to ask questions that were also submitted. But what is it like to release a new album that you've already put so much into, that you've already experienced so many emotions with? What is it like to put it out during a pandemic? Because I think that we're in the business, they don't realize that you have a whole plan when you release an album. It's like album, prep,
Yeah.
tour.
Sure.
But now you're releasing it into a pandemic. So how does that change how you feel about it all?
Well, there was a lot of talk about this when everything first happened, because there were a lot of rumors and speculation on quarantine and how that would affect everybody. Can I say quarantining? Can you say it like that? Is that?
We're going to, because I think there's no rules right now, and we can kind of like make up our own language. So
quarantining.
I've been quarantining.
Definitely a tongue twister, but yeah, we're learning new words as we go. But I think that I was like, oh, you can't help but wonder, because these songs are like, your little children or that you created, right? And so I think that there, for a split second, I'm like, shoot, this sucks, kind of, this may be bad timing. But then I thought about it more, and it felt more appropriate than it ever has for me to release an album. And I say this because I wrote all of these songs based, sort of on the heels of a rebirth for myself after going through the California Woolsey fire. So everything was based off, and I feel like a broken record because I've talked about this so much lately. So I apologize if I'm repeating myself to any viewers right now, but it was such a heavy experience. I think I saw you around that time, maybe at the Forum or something like that.
I saw you, and we keep in touch frequently. So I knew kind
maybe
of what
you
going down.
We spoke for sure, one way or another, and so yeah, what a heavy thing to see your land burn to the ground and my studio burn, and a lot of people know that. So I'd pick up the pieces, make a new record, fresh start, new label, felt like a new relationship in that way. And I wanted to approach the record and identify fictitiously what evil was in my mind. So I named it The Angel Miners, and the main character's name is Zuno. And I know this is way out there and hilarious, but
no, this is awesome, actually.
So I wanted to blame someone. You're like, why does this happen? Why, who did this? Who are these evil forces? So I created someone to blame, and that was a helpful way for me to compartmentalize evil and darkness. And so I named him Zuno, and his gang the Angel Miners. And so in my head, those were the forces that started the fire. And then as the lore goes on, this gang creates a lot of chaos and turmoil, whether it's hey, they may have started a lot of things, whether they're a volcano, an earthquake, or whatever. And so out of that, you have to find the light to fight the dark, of course. And so I created the Lightning Riders to combat them, and their main character is
so they're the good guys.
Yes, simply put, yes, yeah.
Okay.
And so Kapala, this guy that's made out of lightning, which is in the video for the best, he he's made out of natural elements like lightning, and so he combats the Angel Miners. And we don't know who wins. Some days it feels like the good guys win. Sometimes you're like, oh my God, how are we going to defeat this? And it seems so parallel to what we're going through as a human race right now, that while it's terrifying, incredibly sad, completely, impossible to predict how tomorrow will feel, it feels, this music right now felt very appropriate. I mean, I suppose if I made just a dance record and it was just about dancing and going out and stuff, maybe that wouldn't feel so great to release right now. But the songs just so happen to touch the emotions that I think we're collectively feeling right now. So if I'm to find one positive thing right now, it's that we can all connect, I guess.
Okay, I want to talk about, you made a really freaking good record.
Thank you.
But before we get there, I have to ask these questions that they wanted me to. Let's see. I think I covered all of it, actually. Oh, this is a really good question that specifically from your mind, I want to know the answer to. Is it easier to start an album or to finish it? So to elaborate,
right.
Is it easier to find the spark or to end the story?
I would say that I'm not sure the precise answer to that question, but I can say that it's probably most challenging to find your rhythm in a lot of ways. It's easy to just start making songs so long as you're in the mood to do so, but I think it's I think it's more challenging to get to the point where you feel like you have a group of songs that feel like a collective album that makes sense together. Especially for someone like me that loves so many genres of music and all sorts of different colors and shapes that try to fit into this thing. You know, at one point I could go like, wow, I'm basically making a hardcore record. This is obviously not what people are going to want to hear, you know, or not everybody's going to want to hear. And then sometimes I'll go in a weird ambient direction and it'll feel really soft and moody. And so it's not until like, I would say like 5 to 6 or 7 songs in that it seems like, okay, this feels like a cohesive record. And maybe I could alert, you know, my team that I'm onto something.
Okay. Okay. That's a fair answer.
Mm-hmm.
So in what you were just saying right now, there's a couple of those songs that maybe on their own, you don't know if they belong together, but when you hear them on the record,
totally,
it all makes sense. So Pacific Coast Highway in the movies, which is one of my favorites, is one of the more mellow ones. And then I'm a Wreck. Whew.
Right.
That one blew my mind because I thought it started at a place where I thought I knew where it was going.
Yeah.
And it really went there. So I'm going to name you my 5 favorite songs and tell me whatever you can about these songs. The best is my anthem, and that's the first song you released.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was the first single, the first song released. Yeah.
Okay. The best song I think I've heard in God knows how long is Slam, Angel Minor.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Okay, so at 1 minute and 11 seconds into that song, when you go bounce, 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 slam, and then that beat kicks in, I need to know where that beat was born. That is the best beat I've heard in ages.
Thank you. I'm overwhelmed with happiness because that song's probably the heartbeat of the record and
the masterpiece. It's a masterpiece.
Well, you know, it's the soul of the album, and it's like it's the closest thing to an explanation of what I'm talking about lyrically and about life and kind of what we're going through now. There's 2 ways to look at it. You could either look at, you know, there's always someone watching over you as a bad thing, like spying on you, evil forces, or you could look at it as a guardian angel and someone trying to look over you. Maybe it's you know, someone from your past who's passed away, you know, a family member that's sort of, you always feels like is kind of on your shoulder, helping and speaking to you in a positive way and helping you kind of navigate through the weird uphill mountain, you know, that you're trying to get up. But to answer your question about the beat, I came up with I had the first part, and it was incredibly emotional and sort of overwhelming for me, especially the kind of like the sort of big harmony part, the pre-chorus where I repeat what I just said. And then it seemed like, well, I can't really do anything any more sad or epic in that way. So I may as well just go to like a massive synth riff. So I did that. I did the riff first on a keyboard, and then I was like, oh, it's got to be a simple, like kind of salt and pepper, like 80s
so
like rap beat, you know what I mean? And so, and then the synth, and I was feeling kind of, you know, I still feel this way, but I felt liberated and free to make really dark music again on this record because of what I just gone through. I think after the success of the first album and the second record, I was sort of thinking like, man, I've been so lucky. I've only struggled my whole life, and now that I've found success to whatever degree that is, and you know, I felt like almost I didn't know what to talk about necessarily anymore.
Yeah, I get that.
Because you know, it's hard to sing about pain and suffering when people look at you as successful. It was something new for me.
I
never experienced that. So after getting like, you know, just decimated by the fire, I felt more at home in a weird way, and coming from a place of like the underground and sadness. So that was what the song was for me. And I'm so glad you like that song because it's totally untraditional and, you know, definitely one would argue could never be something that sounds commercial. But those have always been my most successful songs, the Weirdos, you know.
Especially, so you've got that beat. The whole song is a masterpiece, but the beginning almost sounds like a lullaby. There's a Hans Zimmer score for the movie True Romance, and there's a song, like the main song. It's called You're So Cool, and it reminded me of that the second that I played it. It sounds like a lot. It's a damn masterpiece. I've listened to it a lot.
Thank you.
And then
you know what? We were playing that song live before the quarantine happened, so we were just, you know, getting used to playing that one, and man, that one was feeling really, really good, you know. So I can't, whenever it's safe and legal to get together, we're going to jump back into kind of getting, taking the record to another place live. And we're going to record a live version of this whole album front to back, as is the order, and both stream it and release it. And so, I'm really excited for that. Whenever it's okay to do it.
Whenever it's okay to do it.
Yeah.
You have one of my favorite screams in music. Whenever the Aaron Bruno scream is like, it's got its own fingerprint. It's so good. And I can't wait to see you live again. Are you scared for the future of our business, or are you curious as to see what innovations come of it, or do you think we'll go absolutely back to normal?
It's a great question. I'm optimistic for and up for the challenge, I think is the best way I can look at it in a healthy way. So if we have to figure out ways to get creative and connect together, I'm all for that, because you and I are doing that right now. I've been doing that on my live stream on Instagram each day at noon, talking to different folks from Elohim to Duff McKagan to Phineas to Dr. Wu and everyone in between.
I've watched. It's amazing.
And I would have never done that. You know what I mean? I probably should have. But so this is an excuse and an opportunity for us to connect, because we can't physically be together. We can't touch. I can't go on tour. I can't give you a hug right now, and all those things. But when it's appropriate, hopefully we'll get on the other side of this and learn something about ourselves and some way to be improved, individually. At least that's what I'm trying to do. And I don't know if I'm going backwards or forwards, but at least I'm trying, So I don't know. I hope when it is in fact safe, and everybody sort of collectively agrees that it's safe. And I think there's always going to be some sort of paranoia, some degree of paranoia, even if everybody agrees, the left, the right, and everyone in between agrees that it's safe. I think there's going to be some people that are going to be kind of scared. And I totally understand that too. But I hope people aren't too scared to connect with their loved ones at the very least and hug again and stuff. That would be a sad future if we.
I think we're okay in that department. And as far as concerts, I've always been led by a sense of reckless abandon. So yeah, I can't wait to feel the freedom that I feel at shows. And the tall guy that's always in front of me that's in my way, I'll never yell at him again. I'll never complain that there's somebody like taping the show on an iPad. I'll just be like, hi, can I buy you a beer?
Isn't that funny too? Like, my wife and I will be standing and I have an okay view at a show or whatever. And there's always that freaking guy, goddamn tall person in front of you. And you're going, man, you're tall too. And God bless that tall person. What an advantage for a concert. You can see everything,
Exactly.
I'm not tall, but I'm not short. I'm like somewhere in the middle, And that's funny you should say that about. There is a whole art form to being able to see a show properly, navigating through different heights and different places, for sure.
And there's a way to maneuver the crowd, but I know that you have a really busy day, so I don't want to keep you too much longer. I've always thought of you as, there are musicians, and then there's somebody like you. I consider Trent Reznor somebody like this too. I can't think of anybody else right now, but you make sound art.
Thank you.
You don't just make music, because some of it is even like, you can just probably listen to noise and hear the music where other people can't, and find an abstract way of feeding that to us. And it's such a gift, Aaron. And you're so consistent. I've loved every record, and they're all so different, but that thing you do, that rhythm of yours remains the same.
Thank you.
And this record couldn't have happened at a better time. I thank you so much, and I hope we keep in touch.
Absolutely. I just can't believe I have a 4th record out today. That's so crazy. Like I never thought I'd survive 1, and now we're at 4, and people care. That's the thing. I was like, well, see what happens. And what a weird thing, by the way. Like, I'm sure no one thinks of it this way, but I went to bed last night thinking, I turned off my phone at a certain point because I didn't want to, because it comes out at 9 p.m. here.
Yeah, right? No. I know when you went to bed because you stopped responding. So I was like, I bet you he's early sleeping because it's like the record's coming out. And
well, it's pretty scary, You're just doing your best, and you're like, oh, here we go. You're just jumping off. It's just like anything else in life, It's like your first day at work or first day of school, and you're just jumping off the high dive into the deep end, and you're hoping there's there's nice fish in there and not a bunch of sharks, you know. And if there are sharks, you swim away from them, or you fight them, you know, and you
You
move
fight
on,
them.
you
Swim
know.
right, like nose to nose. Who cares?
Yeah.
Last question: are you happy today? Like, do you allow yourself like the jumping on the couch, getting giddy,
The Tom Cruise vibe.
the Tom Cruise vibe? Like,
I'll
do you
tell you,
allow
I just
yourself
watched
that?
Risky Business for the first time.
What?
Like I'd never seen it. I knew the famous scene, but I didn't even know what it was about. And my wife and I watched it. We're like, wow, it's softcore porn. It's
It
comedy. It's very dramatic too. It's super
Yeah.
serious, you know, and what a hilarious movie. You can't go wrong with Cruise movies, you know?
No, you absolutely can't. So whenever people start making fun of him, I'm like, that's Maverick. I'm like, I'll never make fun of him.
I know. What's up with the new Top Gun? I wonder how that's going to be.
I have faith. Like the trailer gives me goosebumps, but that's probably because I like the score so much.
Yeah,
but
you hear the score and it just takes you back, you know?
na 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 na. Yeah. But
great soundtrack too. So Take My Breath Away. That's in there, right?
Take My Breath Away,
Yeah.
Playing with the Boys. It was that whole era of soundtracks we can have a whole other day where you meet on here and talk about soundtracks, but that whole era of soundtracks, 80s soundtracks, 90s soundtracks, the best.
That's such a part of the sound of my music, I would think, is like, you know, we watch Ghostbusters. So my wife and I are watching, like, we're trying to watch all the classics, and because it's easy to get sucked into a dark TV series on Netflix and just watch that over and over. You know, we watched Ozark, and just like everybody else, probably watching a lot of the similar shows, but sometimes I have to put my foot down and go, no, I don't want to live in only this world for 4 days and binge watch something. I want to spread it out and be influenced by other things rather than just one show. Not that there's a right or wrong way to go about this, but we watched Ghostbusters last night, and it was mind-blowing.
It's a preference. There
was a part like in the score where I thought, like, I think I've ripped that riff off right there, and I had no idea, you know, because it's so influential.
That's got to be so trippy. Will you ever get into scoring and with directing, screenplays, writing, anything?
Oh, I don't know if I have the talent for directing, but I would love to score something. I've like, you know, I'm currently up for a few things that I like submitted for, and I haven't had any luck yet, but I think one day I'll land something, and that'll be awesome. It'll be a fun thing to sit back and do for sure. And I think it'll make me better, and I'll grow in a lot of ways. And, you know, I can't wait for the challenge of that.
Well,
You
didn't answer my question. Are you happy? Like, are you giddy happy today? I want to see the smile. I do.
Well, I would say that I don't know if I'm happy. It just doesn't. It's hard to say. No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm not just actually happy. I'm starting to become relieved every hour goes by, because this is you know, a long time coming, and I would say of this being the fourth record, this is probably the most overwhelmingly positive reaction I've ever gotten.
Okay.
Maybe it's just because people are so happy to hear something new. But it's scary to put out music, you know. And I know the popular answer would be to say that I'm happy, and I would say I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm definitely not bummed, but it's a big responsibility, and I'm just mostly checking out what people are thinking, and I've got a really good response so far, so I feel really good about that. But you know, it's hard to feel too stoked right now when so many people are suffering. So I always have that in the back of my head a little bit. But yeah, I'm as happy as I could be, if that answers your question.
That's a great answer.
I think if I was just happy right now, though, just to release a record, I think that maybe the record wouldn't sound like it does. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Okay, I'm going to tell you something on a very small scale. Let's say I knew I had to interview you just today, for example, that we were going to do this. I don't sleep for like a week before. I still get really nervous, and people ask me why you've been doing this for so long. I'm like, the day that I lose my nerves, the day that I lose that thing is when I get complacent, and it probably won't be as good.
Right.
So I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, I'm stressed about the next record now. You know what I mean? That's what I'm thinking about. And like, because I don't know when we're going to get to tour. So, and you know, while it was devastating to have to cancel this first tour we're going to do, I'm also really optimistic about how, you know, by the time we do get to tour, that'll be that much longer that people will have
We'll know
had a chance to live with the record a little bit, and we'll
Yeah.
get to see what songs matter, because you never know. I mean, when you release a record, you're thinking, oh, when we play this song, it's going to be great. And then you go on tour and play that song, and everybody's like, why are you playing the song? Play something else, So it'll be cool to actually observe and sort of read the temperature of the room of what people want to hear. So by the time we get to play live, I think we're going to be pretty good at playing these songs. So that's one positive.
That I keep thinking about, I keep fantasizing about the first show back, the first show that us get to go to. And
totally.
And you know how happy we are at shows anyways? Can you imagine times a million, like how we will feel that we made it to the point that I don't think people realize how important, at least to me, those live shows are. It's my favorite place on earth.
Yeah, it's kind of overwhelming. I haven't allowed myself to fully grasp that possibility of, when we get to play a show, because in the beginning of this whole thing, there'd always be like, we're still holding on hope for that tour. And then, we needed to cancel our tour. Even though it still wouldn't have started for another month, we needed to cancel so our fans could get their money back. Because if you wait too long, there's a lot of like technical stuff,
Yeah.
Behind the scenes business stuff that people smarter than me know more about. But it was important to just scratch it and punt for, a later day and see what happens. But we're constantly scrambling and trying to read the future as much as we can. Our team is working really hard to figure out when we can. I mean, if I'm lucky enough, I'll be one of those first shows. How cool would that be? If
that would be so awesome.
Some big event, or, and maybe it'll be smaller venues open first. Yeah. Or something like that. And we'll get to play all these sweaty, small shows, and that'll be cool too.
Those are the best.
So I just don't know. I have no idea.
All right. I'm going to end this by saying, I know that you're somewhere in between happy and not bummed, but I am happy for you, considering how long I've loved AWOLNATION, but also how long I've known you. And I just want you to know that when you're not looking, us, your fans, the people that you can't see, we're playing songs like Slam 50 times in a row. And for that entire time that it's on, the world doesn't feel like it's burning around us.
Wow.
So remember that. You can't see what you've done, but it's powerful and it's magical. And so,
well, that makes me happy.
Yeah, there you go. I got yes.
For sure.
Okay. All right, Aaron. Nothing but love, my friend, and we'll catch up soon.
Okay, thanks so much for having me, Nicole, and the ongoing support, and hope you're doing good. And
I'm doing good.
Can't thank you enough.
You're welcome. Congratulations.
Right.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, make sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell for all notifications from radio.com. While you're at it, why don't you check out some of our other great videos.